Did you know that you can do partial edits with an editor? My name is Gina. I'm an author, editor, publishing professional. I help you make your writing better. This commenter specifically said that she did the first 10% of her book and she went over that as a developmental edit with her editor, and it was super helpful and it was much more affordable than doing an entire developmental edit. And yes, this is true. This is a thing that you can do. Now, not every editor is going to do this because it is sort of like a preference thing that they don't like doing partials. I actually don't mind doing them. I like doing them for people who are on a budget or who want to get in and get started writing and they don't want to wait for me to have a spot open on my calendar to do developmental edits with them on something big. And I've had several new authors say that it has been extremely helpful for them to be able to like put their thoughts into order and like really see if like this concept and this hook that they are playing with, if there's actually a story in there, if there's something that they can turn into a book. And so the way that I do it is I usually recommend that, send me whatever outline, like really heavy outline that they've got. And it'll usually be somewhere in the neighborhood of like 10 to 15 pages of like some disjointed scenes, but it's like the plot in order. And then I say, also give me a query letter and a synopsis, and we're just going to tack them onto the end, and we're going to do this all as a developmental edit word by word. And I treat the entire package like a developmental edit. Now, this only gives you one pass at this, and so I go through it and I read it and I make comments and I ask questions and I make suggestions and I talk about marketability. I do all of the things that I'm going to do in a full developmental edit, but I'm doing it on a much smaller scale. So yes, your ideas are not as well developed, and so you are coming to me with stuff that maybe seems like it's not done baking all the way yet. And so when I make a comment on it or question it, you're going to be like, oh, no, that's not what I meant. Okay, well, we have one round of editing, but it is much, much cheaper. It is much, much faster. And if you are using this as a way to be like, do I have something here? You could get this turned around in several weeks instead of waiting months for my calendar to open up. And then you can get started writing the thing that you are excited about without having to say like, all right, I'm booked for this time. 12 months from now, I got to be ready with something that's ready to go, and I got to have all of the stuff done. Like it's a lot easier to stay excited about something that's happening right now. Conversely, I have done pitch packages with people who are just starting out and they don't want to wait for the calendar. They don't want to write the whole thing if they don't really know where it's going and then find out that it's not going anywhere really. And so we do a pitch package on somebody who is just barely getting started. And so this is where I go over your synopsis, your query letter, and your first 10 pages. This is a little bit more than that one pass developmental edit, but here's the big benefit. We do 3 rounds together. So if you are like brainstorming what comes next in the story, I can help you with that brainstorming. If you're like, yeah, I've got the first half of this, but I don't know how to end it, we can talk through what the hook mirroring the resolution is going to look like. And I don't do this on book coaching. I've got something about that coming later on here this summer, but this is an email back and forth. So that way you also have these notes to refer back to. You have this entire conversation that you can look back on and be like, oh yeah, that's why we made this decision. That's why we did this. We go through your query letter. We talk about stakes. We identify who your character is. We identify what they are standing to lose if this story doesn't work out the way that they wanted it to. We go through the synopsis. We identify who your main characters are. And then we go through your opening 10 pages. And what this usually ends up looking like is that these opening 10 pages start being like kind of really info dumpy. And I'll be like, all right, this doesn't belong in opening pages. Neither does this. Take this scene here, expand on this on the next one. And so we go through and I give you some developmental edits. It's like, all right, now instead of sending me back that thing again, take this scene and expand on that, and I'll give you feedback on that. And so you actually get like kind of a first pass on a lot of information in these 3 passes that we are going through, because it is about finding your footing in the story. It's about figuring out who your character is and what they need, and it ends up being a hell of a lot cheaper than a full developmental edit.